Okay. Well, I think let's go ahead and get started. But welcome. Thank you all so much for joining us this evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you are. My name is Gabrielle Viome. You can call me Gabby, and I'm one of the assistant directors of admission here at Skidmore College. I am very excited to welcome you to our Creative Thought Work series. This series aims to amplify Skidmore outcomes through monthly themed panels that reach a large audience of prospective students across the country and around the world. So, our session today is titled Creative Thought Works from Passion to Profession. I'm going to have our wonderful panelists introduce themselves before we begin our moderated discussion, which will be recorded and available on the admissions website. After the moderated discussion, we'll move into a Q&A session where our panelists will be available for questions submitted through the chat feature. Please feel free to start submitting any questions that you have now, and then throughout the moderated discussion, so we can jump right into the Q&A around 7:30. That would be fabulous. So, with that, my fabulous panelists, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourselves. Again, if you want to maybe say your name, class year, majors, minors, and what you've been up to professionally, that would be great. Let's start with Brian.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here. My name is Brian. I was class of 23, so 3 years ago now, in English and Psych major. I'm from Northern New Jersey. I'm living in New York City now. And since leaving Skidmore, I've been working in the editorial department at Penguin Random House.
Awesome. Let's go over to Katie.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining today. I'm Katie. I was class of 2022, majoring in biology and mathematics, originally from Wisconsin and now residing in State College, Pennsylvania, where I'm a graduate student in biology at Penn State.
Amazing. Sarah.
Hey everybody, super excited to be here with you. My name is Sarah Markley. I was class of 2019. I'm from Westchester, New York, and I studied theater with a concentration in set design at Skidmore, and I now live in Washington, D.C., and I am an interior designer.
Very cool. And last but certainly not least, Zoe.
Hi guys, so excited to be here. I am Zoe Chodak. I am also class of 2019, originally from Rochester, New York, and I actually now reside a little bit south of Saratoga in Clifton Park. And I am currently a K through 6 elementary school counselor.
Amazing. Yeah, so we have a really great mix of different career paths and pathways. So I think this is going to be a really great panel. And again, for any of my students zooming in, if you want to drop in any questions that you have in the chat now and throughout the next 30 minutes, that would be great. So again, we can just jump right into our Q&A around 7:30. But thank you all for those introductions, and we can get right into our moderated discussion. And I think just given the fact that you're all here with us this evening, the four of you thoroughly enjoyed your experience and time at Skidmore. So I'd like to start with a bit of a general question, and that's just what do you think made your experience at Skidmore so unique? Or in other words, what makes Skidmore different from other colleges and universities, in your opinion? Does anyone want to kick us off?
Yeah, I can definitely.
Go for it.
So, what initially drew me to Skidmore was the ability or how much you guys focused on the interdisciplinary aspect of Skidmore, because I came in wanting to be a neuroscience major. Um, and then I had a whole array of interests between neuroscience, psychology, and then also loving theater and art. And so I went in, I loved that I didn't have to declare a major coming in and I could test out a bunch of different things. And then once I did kind of decide to focus on theater and specifically set design, I found that, and I found this since leaving Skidmore, that my education was unique in that I got so much one-on-one and specific attention from my professors in my department especially, but even when I was taking other classes in other departments, like the ratio of students to teachers is really great, and I can see other people who have gone to larger schools who haven't had as much attention even in the early days of talking to your advisor, and you're initially matched with an advisor, and I had a probably 30, 40-minute conversation with her, walking through how to sign up for classes, what she thought I should sign up for. So it was really the one-on-one attention all 4 years that really set it apart for me.
Yeah, I definitely think those student-faculty relationships are really, really special for sure. Does anyone else want to jump in there? Yeah, Zoe.
I can jump in. I think similar to Sarah, the small class sizes and I think the ability to make connections with professors really helped me. And I had a very clear idea of what I thought I wanted to do, which was be a professor, going and really up until my senior year. And my professors and I had such close relationships where they were able to be honest with me and tell me, you know what, I don't think this is the best path for you. Instead, how about you look at school counseling, which I had never even thought about before? And I think the ability to pivot and at the same time, the freedom that I had with being able to participate in sports, but also being able to be in the orchestra and pursue my passion for music. I don't think that's something that you really get with a lot larger schools. And I think with the small school size and the class size, being able to have all those different endeavors, I think really makes Skidmore stand out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like that is such classic Skidmore too, just being able to combine all the different things if you want to. I think that's awesome. Katie, Brian?
Yeah, this is similar to what Sarah and Zoe talked about, but I felt like I had a lot of autonomy as a student,
Mhm.
which I guess speaks to the creative thought matters ethos. Um, I instead of like having these rigid structures that I felt like I had to operate in, I feel like professors, staff, and administration offered me, the resources to succeed kind of on my own terms. So I mean, that looked like, I mean, as it looked like small things like, I mean, assignments were always open-ended, and not having to hit these specific points in essays. But it was also, I was able to found a research lab in the psych department. I did a self-determined study abroad program. I was able to write a thesis that came up with that was all of my own ideas when, peers at other institutions were having senior capstones where they had to hit, they had to do it on specific books, on specific topics, and I felt really free in my education and my extracurriculars while at Skidmore.
Yeah, I think those are all really great points, and just having that freedom, I think, is huge. That's great. Katie.
Yeah, I think very much just echoing everything everybody has said before. Um I think I'm getting a unique perspective at Penn State as a graduate student and really seeing an institution that is actually larger than Saratoga Springs itself. There are
Right.
40,000 undergraduates here at Penn State. And I think I echo very much what everybody's saying. These people, the undergrads here at Penn State, I think there's a lot of feeling of getting lost, whereas I think none of us ever felt that at Skidmore. It's very much like if I wanted to talk to my advisor or professor, that would happen and I could make that happen and they would find time for that. Whereas I think here students really struggle with finding one-on-one times. I will also add that like I was part of the first year in London program in 2018 and that is just it's such a special experience that I think is really truly unique to Skidmore and just sending a handful of students abroad when they're freshly 18. It's a really unique experience. It's a really wonderful experience and I think it's something that Skidmore does so exceptionally well and curates across years as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Lots of unique experiences there. That's awesome. Thank you all. So, looking back on your own experience at Skidmore, what would be your biggest piece of advice that you would give these prospective students or enrolled students? I know we have some enrolled students that are coming this fall, that are either going through the college admissions process or again, for our students that are coming this fall. What's your biggest piece of advice?
Um, I can go. I would say
Yeah.
get as involved as you possibly can with as
Yeah.
many things as you can without overexerting yourself. But I got involved. I did work study all 4 years, and through that, I made so many connections. But I also was a part of student government my senior
Mm.
year, so I was able to have a hand in a lot of events going on. But I also wasn't afraid to go to my friends' clubs and experiences. And I say, just get involved. Do as many things that maybe you wouldn't expect you would want to do because then it just exposes you to new experiences and things that you might not even know that you're interested in.
Yeah, totally. I think stepping outside your comfort zone is a big one for sure. Yeah,
And
Sarah.
kind of similar, but also advocating for yourself and also maybe going a little bit outside of your comfort zone in that regard. Like an example, the second semester of my freshman year, I saw that there was a scenic painting class in the theater department, but it said that you had to have a couple prerequisites that I didn't have yet because it was only the second semester. And I was really bummed because that seemed really cool and it kind of blended a lot of things that I was really interested in. And my parents pushed me to just email the professor that I didn't know yet and say, I have a background in art and in painting, and I would love to take your class. I don't have these prerequisites, but is there any way that you could make an exception or we could work through something? And he was like, oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, you can definitely enroll in this class. And he turned out to be my advisor for the rest of my college career and my mentor. So if I hadn't, kind of stepped out of my comfort zone and pushed to maybe get into that class, like I don't know where I would have gone in my career even. So just take that like those little risks for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think college is like such the perfect time to learn how to advocate for yourself too. That's great. Thanks, Sarah. Brian or Katie?
Yeah,
Katie.
I think something else I'd add is really take advantage of every opportunity there is and become a yes person almost in college. I think it can be really tempting to stay in your comfort zone. I think Zoe and Sarah illustrated this wonderfully of like it's really easy to just be comfortable with what you are and what you are like and what you enjoy. But I think Skidmore presents you so many opportunities to do things outside of your comfort zone, whether that is taking classes in different areas, going to different club events, studying abroad, whatever it happens to be. There are just so many reasons to try other things at Skidmore and so many opportunities to try other things that I think why not do those things and just keep yourself open to them. I think very much just let yourself be willing to try something once and learn that you hate it as opposed to never trying it and wishing that you had want done that thing.
Great advice. That's awesome. Yeah, and Brian.
Yeah. And I mean, on the topic of staying open to things, that is maybe a little more Skidmore specific for people that are coming. Skidmore offers a ton of pre-orientation programs that you
Okay.
can get involved in before your freshman year. I am the furthest thing from an outdoorsman. I'm very at home in my concrete city, but I, decided that I was going to, if I was going to, have a good time at college, I had to say yes to everything. And I did a like 4-day camping trip, and it was the best decision I could have made going into college. I made a ton of friends, still friends with a lot of them today. Um, so I'd say if you're incoming, that's something that I would strongly consider.
Yes, quick plug, now that you mention it, Brian, for pre-orientation, especially for my friends that are coming this fall. We do have on-campus pre-orientation programs and off-campus pre-orientation programs, like Brian mentioned. And there's a variety of different ones that you can choose from, whether you would like to do it on campus or off campus. Registration should open up for those soon. So you can go ahead on your FYE checklist to see when registration opens up. Thank you for mentioning that. Okay, so I'm also curious to hear of any opportunities you might have had at Skidmore, whether that be studying abroad, internships, research opportunities that may have influenced your path to get you to where you are today, or if any were just, a fun thing that you were able to do at Skidmore that didn't even necessarily have to do with your major or minor or what you're doing. Either way. Yeah,
I
Katie.
can start. So, as I mentioned earlier, I did the London first year experience, which transformational, incredible. If you are applying to Skidmore and are interested in the program, like absolutely indicate yes that you would do it. It is just such a wonderful experience to go abroad your first semester. I think those are like some of my lifelong friends. I've, just saw one of them this weekend and we connected over just reminiscing over being in London and that experience. And it is truly like I think a life-changing experience to have. In addition to studying abroad, I was calculating this recently. I think I did research in 4 different labs at
Oh,
Skidmore,
wow.
from mathematics all the way to bio, and stuck with one of them for all 4 years basically. And that's who I wrote my senior thesis with. That was my advisor. And ultimately, that is now what I'm doing my PhD on. And so, very much like, absolutely, without the research, I would not be where I am today. It gave me so many different skills for research um, that I use every single day now as a doctoral student. I think the other thing that is sort of like a hidden, I don't know, like something that wasn't on the list that you mentioned is like the work study. I
Yeah.
also had like just a weird variety of work study positions at Skidmore, working in the library, working admissions with Gabby, working in the dining hall. There's just a lot of different random things that I did that just ultimately added up to a really good skill set that has prepared me for where I am today. And so I think like it can kind of seem like, oh, you just want to get work study done, but actually there's a lot to get out of that. And if you want to build a certain skill set after college, research internships, studying abroad may not necessarily cover those things, but work study might actually be the hidden gem for getting the skills that you that people want after you graduate.
I love that you mentioned work study. I mean, and honestly, like I wouldn't be in the role I'm in today if it wasn't for work study. So, yeah, I think that's a great thing to spotlight there. And I really liked how you touched on research too, Katie, because I think just having the caliber of research opportunities that you get at an undergraduate institution, a small undergraduate institution, is really unique, and you're not competing with graduate level students for those opportunities either. So really, really great that you mentioned that. Thank you. Anyone else want to jump in there?
I
Yeah,
can jump in.
Zoe.
Speaking a little bit more about research and the summer research specifically, I also was involved in a lot of research labs. And specifically between my sophomore and junior year, before I studied abroad, I did summer research here with one of my advisors. And that's a large reason of why I actually moved back to the area is getting to experience Saratoga in the summertime. I think the area is just so beautiful and taking advantage of all that there is to offer on campus and off campus in town as well. And the Adirondacks are right there. There's a lot of skiing opportunities, there's a lot of hiking opportunities, there's a lot of just outdoor opportunities. And doing that research over the summer showed me how incredible of a place Skidmore and the town and just the capital region was apart from the school year. And getting that experience just really showed me, wow, I love this place. And I never thought I would live here. And now I've been here for 4 years, and it is the best experience. So I think taking advantage of those research opportunities, like Katie was saying, I was also in a few different labs. I ran a research lab in the psychology department, and then doing the summer research. If you have an opportunity staying over the summer, either to take classes or do research, or to get an internship off campus, and then you get to live in the on campus dorms as well. It is really a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Yeah, I always tell current students or the tour guides that I supervise, if you can do at least one summer in Saratoga, try to do it. I am a little biased because I'm from Saratoga originally. I don't think I mentioned that. But it is just such a great town, really great college town, and really, really fun in the summer, especially. Awesome. Sarah, Brian?
Yeah. I did so much at Skidmore, and every part of it is like integral to where I am today. But to talk just about, career path, I was a tutor in the writing center, which kind of showed me how much I like to work with words and language and editing. I got my first internship because I went to a Skidmore English department event where they showed us how the resources with which to apply to and understand where the publishing internships live through the Skidmore College Career Center. I met someone who was already working in publishing, and she kind of gave advice for me of what to do next during my senior year. This is all to say that I mean, I don't think I would be anywhere close to where I am today without, the guidance that Skidmore offered.
I was an English major too, so and I loved the department so much. It was
I know
great.
they're great. They're great.
Oh, the best. Yeah, Sarah.
Yeah, kind of going back to the work study program, I got to actually work in the scene shop at in the theater department. So once I decided I was a scenic design, it's actually a requirement of the theater department. It's called company. Everyone pitches in. You can pick from a ton of different disciplines like painting, building, lighting, costumes, whatever. And then, freshmen, I guess it was spring, and then sophomore fall got hired in the scene shop. So I was actually paid to be part of the department throughout the rest of my time at Skidmore. And then eventually, you're building the sets that you're designing, which has been actually so integral to my career now as an interior designer because I got to learn how things are actually built. And I think my peers that went to interior design school, they don't get the opportunity to actually create the projects that they're working on in classes. It's all just hypothetical. But in the theater department, it taught me how to actually get a piece on its feet, which has been just so unbelievably helpful in my actual career. And then I do want to touch on the abroad because it's such an incredible opportunity if anybody out there is able to do it. I went to Florence and studied at an art school there, which was just the most incredible experience. So if you're able to, I would definitely jump on that.
Yeah, so cool. And I think it's so cool, Sarah, that you went from like the theater, like scenic design into interior design. I think that's such a cool pathway. And it's something that I think a lot of students don't even think that they can do.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Oh, just because I remember my high school graduation, our speaker said, you're probably going to have a job that you don't even know exists right now.
Right.
So when you go to college, obviously you have to pick a major, but you just have no idea where that major could take you. It's just all these little stepping stones. And for me, theater translated so seamlessly into interior
Mhm.
design. And I'm so grateful for my theater education. And I still get to work on shows every now and again. But it really helped me figure out what I wanted to do long term
Yeah.
for my career.
So cool. Awesome. Okay, I have one more question for you guys, and then we can jump into Q&A. And again, if any of you have any questions, feel free to put those in the chat. I do have some questions up my sleeve too. But one more question that I wanted to ask personally, I'm wondering if you guys want to share any other resources that you took advantage of at Skidmore that have allowed you to be successful in your life during college or after college. I know we touched on some things, but either career development center, faculty relationships. Is there anything else that you wanted to touch on in that space?
I
Yeah.
can talk a little bit about the Career Development Center.
Yeah, go for
Really,
it.
so I realized I wanted to be a school counselor 2 weeks, sorry, that's my cat, 2 weeks before the deadline was due for applications my senior year. And the Career Development Center was huge because they helped me put together my applications for different schools. They were really helpful in helping me figure out with my resume what that looks like. Also writing getting letters of recommendation really fast. They were
Mhm.
really pivotal in helping with that experience. And I definitely would not have gotten into graduate school without their assistance as well. So huge. Definitely use the Career Development Center. They're awesome. They're great. They will help you with what you need. And they are just really that is I almost went to career counseling, and having gotten the experience of being in the career development center on the other side, they are like one of the best assets that you can possibly use
Mhm.
at the college level, so definitely take advantage.
For sure. I remember I sent them my resume. I think it was my senior year when I was starting to apply for jobs. And I thought it looked great. Just wanted them to check it over. They totally redid it for me and did it in a totally different format, sent it back. And they're like, so this is what that's actually supposed to look like. And I was like, oh, perfect. Thank you. So really, really helpful in that way too, with like your resume, cover letters. They do like mock interviews too. So really great resource. Thank you, Zoe. Sarah, Brian, Katie, did you want to add anything?
Um,
Yeah.
I can plug the Writing Center again. I just talked about it in the last question,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it was my favorite resource on campus for people that don't know. The Writing Center is mainly student staffed. You bring essays to talk about with the tutors and refine them, make them better. So I actually I ascended to being the head tutor by my junior year, so I was very involved in the Writing Center operations. But even so, I would take my own essays to tutors in there. It's really for everyone at all levels of writing. When I was writing my thesis, I took a chapter of week to a tutor. So that's an amazing resource that I mean, as a editor, I still use the same skills that I learned there every day. I'll also plug the OCSE office.
Yeah.
I ended up making when I was studying abroad, I kind of had to cobble together a program that I wanted to do. It wasn't fully
Mm.
Skidmore sponsored, and so I may have called the head person there once a week to make it happen. And then when it was finally all said and done and I had gotten in, I think she might have been my first call to let know.
Oh,
So yeah, and I learned so much during that abroad semester. Many of the skills I still use now. So two great resources on campus.
awesome. Yeah, and Katie and Sarah, I saw you both come off mute. Sarah, do you want to
Yeah, I can
go?
go. Kind of going back to the research aspect, there's a lot of funding that you can get from Skidmore to support, especially your summer, goals. And I ended up getting funding and a grant from I forget what the exact name was, but it was basically a research project that I did and then got funding to be the assistant set designer for Saratoga Shakespeare one summer. So they were
Well,
able to completely fund my summer there, which made it possible for me to stay in Saratoga and work. So there's always Skidmore's really great at helping you figure out a way to do something from all aspects, but including getting funding for something like that.
absolutely, for sure. Yeah, great summer funding. We have something called the Summer Experience Fund. Yeah, and you can use that toward like research and then unpaid internships as well, which is awesome. But Katie, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, so two more things I would also plug are the peer academic coaches, which is kind of just the non-English version of the Writing Center. I remember as a math student, I came in a little rusty from high school and I was just like, I don't really remember everything that's going on. And so I'd go to the peer academic coaching sessions, chat with those people. I ended up becoming such good friends with the people that I got sucked into the program. And much like Brian, by my junior year, I was running it myself too. But it was just such a great resource to be able to provide that support. And I will also add, like, in my graduate studies, working as a TA now, that it is super helpful that I have that tutoring experience from being a peer academic coach. I'm able to work with students in a more personalized way and help them like really understand a problem as opposed to just trying to fit like a one size fits all solution um, to students' issues. The other office I'd plug is the Office of Student Affairs. I was club president for a couple of different things, and their office was just incredible in organizing events, in facilitating conversations and collaborations. Just the kindest people, I think, really, that I've interacted with at Skidmore in terms of wanting to see students have fun outside of the classroom and wanting to make sure that social events were happening. In a facilitated and really easy way. It's quite easy to run an event. It's quite easy to run a club at Skidmore, and I think it's largely in part due to how much work the Student Affairs Office does in making that process simple.
Yeah, totally. Well, thank you all so much for those really great answers, really great advice. But I do want to transition over into our Q&A portion of our event. So again, please keep sending in those questions. Questions that are sent in via the chat feature. I'll relay those questions out to our panelists as a larger group. But I do just want to make a note, just given that this event is a chance for you all to engage with our panelists regarding their experiences. I do ask that you try to refrain from asking questions about the admissions process and how that works. Instead, maybe ask questions about their time here at Skidmore and again, their experiences. So let's go ahead and start looking at some of these questions. Really great ones. Okay. What is there to do when you're not in class around campus? What's like your favorite little spot?
Oh, actually, the gym.
Yeah.
And really sad because I don't know if a lot of alumni don't know this, but we actually get access to all of the facilities at
Hmm.
Skid alumni, and living in the area, I have taken full advantage of the new beautiful
Oh my
gym.
God.
Um,
So
so
nice.
if you are coming to Skidmore, you have to go to the gym because when we went to Skidmore, we did not have this beautiful facility, and they
Mhm.
have Pelotons, they have classes that you can take advantage of. So I would say the gym now as an alumni is my favorite place. But when I went to Skidmore, I would say just going for walks around campus, the little pond, and going and sitting and doing my work sometimes in the little pond and the little picnic tables there. But go to the gym.
Yeah, the new McCaffrey Wagman is so beautiful, and I am also so jealous that it was not a thing when I was a student. What about everyone else?
I think my favorite place, so most students who go to Skidmore live on campus. I think like 90 something percent, if I'm remembering my facts when I was a tour guide correctly. And so honestly, just hanging out with people near the apartments. So once you're a junior, senior, you can move to not necessarily off-campus apartments, but apartments that feel like they're off campus. They
Hmm.
are these beautiful like ski chalets, basically, that the juniors and seniors live in. And I just have such fond memories of sitting with my friends either around like a bonfire or just in the Adirondack chairs that are scattered around the apartments and just hanging out between classes or between after the day is over and things like that.
Love that. Awesome.
And similarly, like there's a couple places that you just know people are gonna hang out. So you can go outside of Case Center, pop down at a table, start doing some
Yeah,
work. But then, you run into some of your best friends, and I that's one thing I miss so much is like you're all on the same
I
campus.
know.
You get
Yeah.
to just see your favorite people all the time.
Yeah, I think the little tables like right outside Burgess on Case Walkway. That was my favorite, especially when
Exactly.
the weather was nice. Yeah.
Perfect.
What about you, Brian?
Yeah, you might have stolen mine, but I lived off campus actually for my last 2 years, and so but
Okay.
because
Yeah.
I had so many classes and I was also on the swim team, so I'd practice early in the morning. I would pack, breakfast, lunch, dinner, get to the campus at 6 a.m. and I need to find somewhere to stay, and I work best in like the hustle and bustle. So
Hmm.
I would sit on it at a table right in front of Burgess and for
Yeah.
almost my entire every day. It is my favorite
So
place.
fun. So fun. Awesome. Okay, let's see. I love this question. What was your most memorable class and why? I have mine, but this isn't about me.
I have an immediate one that comes to mind. Well,
Yeah.
two, but it's taught by the same professor, which was my math in London course taught by my advisor, my queen, Rachel
Mm.
Rodale, who's the
Uh,
head director of FYE now at Skidmore.
yeah.
And then the sort of like coming full circle in my senior year, I also took math in the museum with her, which is taught by her
Oh.
and Rachel from the Tang Museum. Loved that course. It was just such a wonderful course. So I think it's like a 100 level mathematics course, but really it's open to anybody. And I think the fact that it is 100 makes it really accessible. And you just
Mhm.
learn how museum spaces and how art in general is influenced by mathematics, uses mathematics, and it's just it's a great way. I think it's like truly the most like iconic Skidmore course because it is so interdisciplinary, combining
Yes.
the math and the art and everything in between. And all of your classes are in the Tang, which is just such a beautiful space to be in. And so that's definitely one that stands out in my mind.
That's a cool one. Thanks, Katie. Yeah, Zoe.
Yeah. So this might is a this is can be up for debate, but my most memorable class was research methods in psychology, and the reason
Brian.
why science space. The reason why is I actually everyone moaned and groaned taking that class because it was so hard, but it gave me not only so many skills that I currently use today in my current role as a school counselor, analyzing data and looking at data, but also I met my closest friends in that class because we collectively groaned and moaned about the work that we had to do together. And I think the professor that I had who ended up being my advisor, Erica Wojcik, and I still get together with her now, and we'll get together and get coffee and chat. And um, having that connection, that was the first class I took from her, and I was like, oh God, this is so hard. But she was so willing to help and support us and really wanted us to succeed. And for me, that's the one where I feel like it's the most applicable in my current life, but also it helped develop my closest friendships just through working through that class as well.
Mm, that's awesome.
Um, well, I'll qualify my face by saying I did like research methods, but it's a very unpopular opinion. My favorite class I was definitely prose boot camp from Professor Linda Hall at Gabby. I don't know if you had her or that
I
class.
didn't. I didn't.
Um, I was upset by the end of it because I wished I had taken more classes with Professor Hall during it. I took it during the end of my senior year. Um, and essentially the class is structured in I just teaching you how to write well with proper punctuation, with proper grammatical rules, things that you
Mhm.
have never heard of in your life. And every week you would do a writing assignment that, people actually face in the real world. So there was like, effective emails, briefings, meeting summaries, all things like that. And that really I mean it obviously really helped me because I edit for a living, but for it was really helpful for anyone that is going to have to
Yeah.
communicate in some way in their life or in their career. But that was my
Yeah.
favorite.
That sounds like a great class. Super cool. Sarah, what about you?
Um, the one that kind of jumps to my mind is called theater company, which I mentioned a little bit
Mm-hmm.
before. It's something you can take as many times as you want, and you don't have to be a theater major to do it. It's usually on Fridays, and everybody, usually it's like 80 people. It's probably the biggest class I ever took at Skidmore. And everyone just comes into the theater. You sit in this auditorium, and there's usually some kind of uh, presentation. We'll have a demonstration, or depending on what the show is, that the main stage or the black box that the department's working on, they'll have people come in and talk. We've had, previous alumni who went to Skidmore and have, become, have done a lot in theater. John Bernthal has come. He's an actor who graduated from Skidmore. And just being able to get together with the entire theater company every week and connect in that way and talk about the show, and it was really just so wonderful. And you didn't have to be a theater major to do it if you wanted to be involved in the theater department in any way. It's just a great way to connect.
Yeah, yeah, I know that John Bernthal, he's in a play on Broadway right now. And I think one of our classes in the theater department, they just did a field trip to go see that play and they had like a talk back with him and some other actors after, which was so cool. But yeah, no, those are all such cool classes. Makes me want to go back and relive my glory days. Let's see. Ooh, okay. This was a private one to me, so I'll read it aloud. How would you describe your Scribner seminar experiences? I know you have to like think way back. And if you remember the title of your Scribner seminar, you get extra points.
Mine, Antarctica. Um, I thought it was the most unique sounding Scrivener seminar, and I was like, I would never ever take a class like this in my life. So I'm going to sign up for it. And it ended up being one of the most fun, engaging educational classes. I remember I had to wake up, it was early in the morning, it was at 8 a.m. freshman year, and I had to walk all the way down to the furthest hall, which I totally forgot the name, but we were in this little room and we read the book Endurance, and we learned all about like Shackleton, and I'm still remembering, it's flooding back to me now, but it was the most unique experience I've ever had. And my professor, I cannot remember his name, but he was so much fun. And he made the experience so engaging. And I did meet some of my closest friends actually through that class. And I would have never, ever have met them if it wasn't for Antarctica.
So awesome. Yeah, and I guess just a quick overview of the Scribner seminar, just in case you're not aware. That's like our first year seminar course. So all first year students have to take a Scribner seminar their very first fall semester on campus, and it's like the only other class they're going to be in with all of their first year students. So, and they're usually pretty unique, interdisciplinary courses. So awesome. Who else wants to go? Yeah, Brian.
I'm pretty sure mine was called The World Turned Upside Down. And it
Okay.
was about medieval literature, which I didn't know anything about. And similarly, I was like, why not? Like, it talked about witches and all these stories are, a little gross, to be honest, once you get to understand what they're saying. And the professor was so wonderful. She had a dog and she'd bring her dog into class every day. And we just would have these really, really interesting discussions. And I probably would have never learned about any of that other than my Scribner seminar. And likewise, I got to know and some of my best friends at Skidmore in that class. And we also, I don't know if this is still the case, but a lot of us lived on the same floor. And even my roommates were in my Scribner seminar. So it was a nice way
Cool.
to connect with people like right off the bat. And you have somebody to go to class with, as you're figuring out all of that new stuff when you first arrive.
I love it. Was your professor's name Professor Greenspan?
Yes.
Yeah, I took medieval lit with her and now she's my neighbor. I see her all the time.
That's so fun. She was so wonderful.
No, she's the best. She has two dogs now.
Oh, yeah. I think it was a German Shepherd
Yeah.
back then. Yeah.
Yeah. No, she's awesome. Cool. Brian, did you want to go?
Yeah, yeah. I didn't even remember her German Shepherd until you just said it. Um, I took Human Dilemmas with Professor Schofield. I think Human Dilemmas is a big one potentially. There are a few
Yes.
different sections of it.
Yeah.
Um, but it was an awesome class, especially for someone who was going into, any humanities major. I think it was primarily a philosophy course,
Mhm.
and you were talking about, issues that plague humanity and how do we fix them, which is maybe not something a freshman year class is equipped to fully answer. But it was so it really taught me how to think and how to think through dense texts. I also
Mhm.
met very close friends there. It was amazing. I loved my seminar. I almost said it for our last question, but
Yeah, Human Dilemmas is like, I think the OG classic Scribner seminar. And it's still happening to this day. And Katie, I know yours was in London.
Yes. So I want to say it's called Math in London or something like that. And it was taught by Rachel Riddell, who's head of FYE now. And it was like her baby, I think.
Mhm.
And so we basically learned about the history of mathematics and how it relates to various locations in London. And so it was part field trip, part history course, part mathematics course. And so not only would we learn like the history of a thing in mathematics, but also there's the mathematics behind the thing. And then we'd also go to the place that it was discovered or was related to the topic. And so the one that really stands out for me was this was pre-COVID. And so we learned about epidemics in London and the plague. Um, and we read a story about a town in England that had experienced the plague. And that's actually what I ended up doing my research on with Rachel. But part of that learning was we also got to go see a play at the Globe, which is
Cool.
Shakespeare's Globe Theater, about the plague. And so it was a really fun experience of just getting to learn the math behind it, getting to see it come to life, and just visit such a historical site and experience that all for a math class.
So cool. Ugh, I love like hearing everyone's different Scribner seminar because they're all so like out there and quirky. That's awesome. Thanks, guys. Okay, what was your favorite thing to do on campus during your time at Skidmore? Or what about like a favorite tradition? Either or.
There are
Yes.
definitely a lot of um, there's comedy groups,
Yeah.
there's a cappella groups. I happen to know a few people who have become my husband who was in one.
Oh, wow.
Um, there's so many shows to go to. Like every weekend, something's happening, some event, some student run show or um, yeah, and then it's also so fun when people come to visit you at Skidmore and you take them to like fun. There's sketch comedy, there's stand up nights. There's always something happening like in the Case Center. Um, yeah, there's so many things to go and do on the weekends even.
Fun.
Almost every day, our friends and I would meet up at 5:15. It was a very specific time. We'd meet up at 5:15 and we would go to D Hall and the dining hall. And that was our thing. At 5:15, we would do that and we would just chat about our days. And it's a memory that we all still talk about to this day. And the dining hall, also just a really quick plug, is so good. The food is so good. But that to me, just I always think back every day at 5:15, we'd go to the dining hall and we would just talk about our lives and our days. And it's one of the things I think I miss the most from being at Skidmore was those connections and that routine with your friends that you get to have every day.
Yeah, I loved just sitting in the dining hall for like hours and talking with my friends. That's also like a very fond memory of mine. I love that.
I was going to, I'll add to the dining hall discussion on top of it being so good. I didn't have meal swipes while I was off campus, but I always found my way in for Chicken Finger Friday. Especially after practice, I was there immediately. Yeah, that's all I have for that one.
Chicken Finger Friday is elite. The mac and cheese is also delish. What about you, Katie?
Yeah, I mean, also have to echo D Hall. I hold a special place in my heart. I am blue side, unfortunately. I don't know if you guys are red side people or if it's all one color now. I don't know, but I was blue sided back in the day. That one's definitely special for me. And I think also just echoing what Sarah was saying, the various clubs, the various events that are going on. I think Club Fair really stands out to me. It's just like a moment in time where the energy is so high on campus and there's just such a great feeling. It's right in the beginning of the semester when the weather is beautiful. There's so many students around. And I just remember like standing on a chair yelling at people to join the clubs and it just being incredibly overstimulating, but so fun at the same time. I think it's like very quintessential Skidmore of you'll get like the gaming club next to the Asian Student Association, next to the sketch comedy group next to the a cappella group. Like we are all intermingled and you can join all of them and no one would bat an eye.
Yeah, I went to fall club fair all the way through like my senior year. Again, just because like the weather's nice. They do it on the big green, like in front of the dining hall. So much fun. And again, like Kitty was saying, you can sign up for as many clubs as you want. Everything is super open to everyone, which I think is pretty awesome. Um, okay, this is a great question. What are the main words that come to your mind to describe what Skidmore students are like? And I think that's interesting too, because there's definitely not one specific type of Skidmore student.
Um, I think if I had one word, I would go with collaborative or something of that
Hmm.
nature. I think that a lot of times at uh, different colleges, especially sometimes small colleges, it's easy for there to be this competitive atmosphere that people are
Yeah.
sometimes trying to get one up on one another, at least what I've heard from my friends that have been to that also ended up at small liberal arts institutions.
Yeah.
But I never felt that way at Skidmore. I always felt that if I needed help with something, I can go to anyone, not just a friend, but anyone just, in my class, beyond just the professor. Everyone is willing to help if you need it.
Yeah, totally echo that as well. Yeah, Zoe.
I would say multifaceted. Um, if there's one word, I think multifaceted, being able to participate in sports and athletics, and then also being able to be in music, but then also being able to do research and do work study and be in the dining hall almost during all my free hours. Like being able to do all of those things and balance all of them, I think is something very unique to Skidmore.
Mhm.
And those opportunities just don't exist, especially when going through college with my peers who were at other colleges. They didn't get those types of experiences, I think, that we had at Skidmore. And so I think multifaceted would be the best way I would explain a Skidmore student.
Yeah, I think that's a great one. Katie or Sarah?
I
Yeah.
think I would say passionate, whether it's many things like Zoe was describing, whether you're interested in like a lot of different things or you have one like really, really specific interest. I think Skidmore students are really good at finding what they love and just pursuing that to the world's end and like sharing that with other people and just it's enthusiastic and it's infectious how enthusiastic students are.
Yeah, that's a great one too. Yeah, Sarah.
I would say like determined, kind of to piggyback
Mhm.
off of that. Like you're, most of my friends and people I saw, like if, once they knew what they wanted, like we everyone goes after it in a very respectful way, but people carve out what they're looking for also at Skidmore, even if it's something they don't see exactly uh, in a major or even in a club. Like, okay, I don't see this. I'm gonna go create it. Like, um,
Mhm.
they people don't let that stop them from being pursuing what they're interested in, like their passions.
Yeah, I think you all just like nailed that. That was great. Thank you. Okay, and I'm seeing one more question, and it can be contentious. What is your favorite coffee shop in Saratoga? And I think since some of you graduated, there's been some closures, not to ruffle feathers.
I think that Saratoga uh, coffee traders. I think it's no more, but
No
that
more. It was a good one.
Uncommon Grounds is a close second, I think.
Yeah, Uncommon is still standing. She's going very strong.
Brew coffee, I would say, is definitely my favorite. And I feel like I go there more now
Mhm.
as an alumni than I ever did when I went to Skidmore. And I'm so mad at myself that I didn't go as much. But Crew coffee is elite for me.
Very underrated too. That's a good one.
I think I unfortunately have to say the classic Uncommon Grounds, but it's like not really unfortunate. It's a classic for a
It's a
reason.
good one.
And also
Yeah.
like the bagel sandwiches live rent free in my head.
Ugh, the bagels are very superior.
I lived above Spot Coffee, the direct apartment above Spot Coffee, and still walked to Uncommon Grounds.
If that
It
says
is
anything.
top tier.
Yeah, no, Uncommon is great. There's a new one that just opened in town too called Bear's Cup, and it's kind of like all the rage right now. Like they have like really fun like special like monthly special drinks too. They have like a cookie butter latte right now. Really fun. So she's a new contender. But lots of great coffee shops and just really great restaurants in town too. But I think that is a great one to end on. But thank you all so much for those awesome questions. Really appreciate it. But I think, as you can see, there are so many ways that Skidmore has impacted the life journeys and experiences of our alums. And I think the stories that you heard tonight are a wonderful testament to that. But if any of you have any further questions, or if we weren't able to answer your question this evening, please join another upcoming Creative Thought Works event in the future. Or please feel free to contact admissions directly at admissions@skidmore.edu with any additional questions you may have. And of course, I want to extend a very heartfelt thank you to our wonderful panelists for their time. And again, to all of you attendees for spending your time with us today. Again, it is so appreciated. I really hope that you enjoyed it and take care. Thanks, guys.